What is up, Total Excellence? So tonight, we're going to be knowing what the rage is all about for DragonRage. I'm pretty excited. I get to meet the co-founders of Page One Comics, and you know, I think it's going to be time for me, guys, when I'm going to be changing this beanie, because look at this, dudes. I mean, if you go to the perks with the merch, I mean, there is a beanie somewhere. I know there's a beanie, because if you guys don't know me already, especially with all these live streams, I do not go live streams without my beanie. But look at the art, dudes. This is just phenomenal. Beautiful. So, enough of my chit-chat. I rather you guys look at the pencil work, but we could talk all day, but, I'm not here to talk alone here. We got Nicholas Mueller. Yo, man. Yo, Nicholas. Thank you for coming by, dude. So, it is my pleasure to introduce these talents. We got writer Dave Pott right here. What's up, Dave?
What's up?
All right. And then we got another excellence, Jimmy Reyes.
Yo, man. Got to peek in.
There he is.
Yeah,
What's up,
there you
Jimmy?
are. I know, it's a full house today, so we're going to be like the Brady Bunch.
Yeah, I've got to be.
We got Tank Ferret in the house. Super excited. I am super excited too, dude. So, anyway, dudes, let's talk about the rage that's a DragonRage.
Mm-hmm.
So, how did DragonRage became a thing, as well as you guys even like co-founding Page One Comics?
Well, I'll talk about how it became a thing, and then I'll throw it to Jimmy to talk about how it became Page One.
Right.
The idea really came one night. Jimmy gets these ideas at like 3:00 in the morning, and he'll text me or he'll call me, and he'll say, "Hey, man, what if blah blah blah?" And then I'll wake up and read it, and I'll be like, "Oh, okay, that's kind of a cool idea." And just one time, one of his ideas was, "Hey, what if we had a girl that could turn into a dragon?" And I thought, okay, that's kind of cool. And then he came up with some ideas about what she does with that ability and some other things that I don't want to give away just yet because they become story points later. But I thought about it for a couple of days, and I wrote up a treatment for it. And, now we've got a fully funded comic book on Indiegogo.
Awesome, dude. And now I'll jump to Jimmy here. Put him on the kiss cam, as he's famously always says.
So, well, it all started on a weekend that we were about to get married. Somebody drugged our drinks, and we couldn't remember anything the following weekend. But we got to meet Mike Tyson. Dave stole a tiger. And no, wait, that's not how.
And I woke up with this thing here. I don't know how that happened.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah,
I can't recall what it is, but it sounds.
Jimmy and I were going to get married for tax purposes.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh man.
It started out with Jimmy Reyes art. It was my live stream. I would do a bunch of art streams, started building up an audience, do art demos and inking demos. And then I was freelancing, and I just thought, man, I don't really want to freelance anymore. I see what all these people are doing. They're creating books and putting them on Indiegogo. I want some of that. I want to do that, So I started working for creators on Indiegogo, like the CG guys. I started doing work for them. And then, I thought, well, if I get, maybe that'll help me, get in there and kind of see what they're doing.
Right.
And then halfway through, I just said, man, I got this urge to start now. Like I really got to. And I just stopped all my freelance work, turned Jimmy Reyes Art into a platform where I welcome other people, started live streaming, letting people pop in, show off their artwork, met other artists, we network. Page One Comics just grew organically from a big group of artists and writers. And really what it is, it's a platform where Philpot and I, we want to create IPs and ideas get our stories out there, get them crowdfunded, and then we also eventually want to build up enough where we can hire other teams, and we want to look for people who are new in the business, people that want to break in, but right now with the industry being, just it's really hard to break in. So, we want to help people. We want to pay it forward. We don't just want to go out and hire like our friends, our buddies, or like my peers that were working with me in mainstream.
Right.
We want to find new talent, help develop that talent, and give them exposure. So that's how Page One came about. From that.
It's really interesting. So how did
Yeah.
you and Dave like cross paths? Like, were you under the same publishing, or did you cross paths in Jimmy Reyes' art channel?
That's Grinder.
Yeah, it was. No, Dave's got the story on that one. He's got a good. Go ahead, Dave. You can take it over and tell them how we met.
Yeah, I was looking to. This was about 2005, and I was trying to figure out a way to break in as a writer. It's really tough. I mean, for anybody out there who writes, that. If you're an artist, people can kind of look at your work instantly and say if you got the goods or not. But as a writer, it takes a whole lot more. So I was on digital webbing trying to find some artists who were willing to work with me. And I couldn't find anybody that was reasonable. Everybody either wanted too much money or they didn't have enough talent, or it was a little bit of both. And nobody wanted to work with me. They wanted me to hire them. So I was getting pretty aggravated, and I wrote this really aggressive post, kind of bashing all the artists. And then this one guy kind of cut through all of that mud, and he was very reasonable. And he said, look, I'm an artist. I want to work with a writer. Send me some submissions. I'm going to pick who I like, and I'll work with you. And out of all the people, and I think he told me later he had tons of people, I guess he liked what I had to say, and we kind of formed a friendship. And that was, like I said, 15 years ago. I don't know that either one of us were really ready at the time, and we ended up falling out of touch after kind of developing some things. But I saw his videos later, his inking videos, and I went, wait a second, I know that guy. And just, saying hey to him, and he was like, it's funny, I've been kind of looking for you. And this was a couple years ago, and then we've just been in touch since and started developing ideas, and here we are.
That's awesome.
It's a great love story. Has a great ending.
Oh yeah, no, we will surely see the love story in this this happy ending once DragonRage has it pretty much already fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
You got 152 backers. You got 13 days left, and one of our viewers are asking, how many pages is the book?
Total, it's 32 pages. You get a 22-page main story, and you also get an additional 5-page story in there. So pretty much the entire book is almost story, with just a few pages that we kept for newcomers. We want to publish their pinups in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so 32 pages total.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And is this like going to be a series, or is this a one-shot?
Well, we hope it's a series. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely hope that it's going to be a series. And the way it looks, I mean, this is campaign 1.
Mm-hmm.
We funded in 10 days for people that are brand new and have never done anything in the crowdfunding. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
CG didn't know who you were. Crowdfunding didn't know who you were, and we stepped in, and within 10 days we had enough people that said, hey, we want to back this book. So, I can imagine in the next 13 days, we should hopefully maybe even double what we have right now. My goal is to get us to 10,000. We can do that. Then we can have a little money left over to start issue 2 right away.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic, dudes. So how many issues are we talking about? Are we talking about miniseries like 3 or 5, or how many issues?
I know I have the way I plotted it out as I have a 6-issue story arc that we could easily do, and obviously collect that at some point. But I mean, I could go further than that. I have a ton of ideas. It's funny. It's like Jimmy is one of the few people that I've met that he can come up with a really good, concise idea, like in one sentence. And it's a skill that I wished I had because I don't. But he's able to take and put a really cool idea right in the palm of my hand. And then it's like I walk around with this idea in my head from then on. So since the time we developed this idea, I've been kind of living in this alternate world of Dragon Rage, and coming up with ideas and characters and things. So we could keep going with it.
Yeah, no, I would love to keep going with this. So, what was the inspiration of Dragon Rage? Because, I always hop onto the streams and everything. I've watched you guys progress. I saw Jimmy, like, staying up super late, words just spurring out that I'm like, Jimmy, you're turning to a ghost, man. I just felt like he needed to eat at some point when he
Oh, he
was
does.
speaking.
Yeah.
But
I think I'm getting famous for the meals I eat through the streams.
most definitely, man. So, what was the inspiration of Dragon Rage? Because I remember you keep saying like, it's nothing that was based off of previous comics. This is from outside sources like movies, books, or something along those lines.
My first wife. When I saw that rage, I was like, dude, I got to monetize this. No, actually, I love movies. I love the movies from the 1980s. There was a Dragon Slayer movie. It had a wyvern dragon. It was, to me, that was the first dragon that really looked really real. It looked good. And then, of course, we saw those dragons again in Reign of Fire. They look really good. Game of Thrones had some pretty good dragons. So I started doing research on dragons and the wyvern, and found out that the wyvern dragon is really the only possible dragon. It's a pteropod, meaning that it's got four limbs. The two wings, the two legs. Pteropod like humans.
Wow.
All the others would be, just an anomaly. They would be, they wouldn't be able to exist in nature. So I started researching it more, and I got really fascinated with dragons. And I thought, man, it was kind of cool. I've seen stories or heard stories about people being able to turn into a dragon. So I just thought, well, what if we did a story where there's a girl who could turn into a dragon? And the crazy thing is, I had the name first. The name that popped in my head was like Dragonborn. I said, okay, so like kind of like Dave, I let my imagination go, kind of like when you're kids, and I play make believe, and I just run with the story in my head. And I just said, Dragonborn. Okay, what would Dragonborn mean? What would that world be like? And so it came up with this character, a female who can turn into a dragon. And in my head, I just went, her name would be Nuri. And I thought Nuri needs a companion, needs something, And so I pitched the idea over to Dave, and he's really the one that really created a whole universe, a real story. I just kind of played make believe, and he's the one that really gave it, the possibility of making it a good story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that the inspiration is, I guess, just being weird. It's just being able to play make believe as an adult.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. Like, you've really gone down deep into this. You did in your research, and I mean, pretty much like everyone will say, you say movies. Sometimes I say comic books. Some say video games.
Mm.
And when you said Dragonborn, I'm like, I hope he knows about Elder Scrolls, because literally, like, there's a legends say about the Dragonborn. And
Right.
with the whole Dragon War and all this stuff. But I'm glad that you call it Dragon Rage. So
Yeah, I mean, like when you create the story, I believe that the name will come. It will reveal itself, as you get more and more familiar. Did you just smack your cat?
No, she jumped up and her tail flipped.
Oh,
She's
I
being
heard her.
obnoxious. Yeah. She wants to get in the frame is what she wants to do. And I won't let her. She's a little diva.
Yeah, she's like, come on, I'm famous. I've seen all these cats on Instagram. And so, the more and more you play in this world, and you allow yourself to be involved in this world, and you think, what would these characters, what would they eat? What would they wear? What is life like for them on a daily basis? This world becomes real, and it's much easier to create it visually. For me, I'm a visual storyteller, where Dave is the guy that actually creates the hows, whys, and wins. I just want to make a cool looking dragon, but he's the one that goes back and creates the lore and how this is possible. So I get the fun part, I think.
Mhm.
I'm the weekend dad in this relationship.
Yeah.
So we got your moderator who is here. Welcome, Comic Book Bob. He says you're echoing, Jimmy.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. My microphone stand broke on me. I was like, am I the only one echoing? Let me try to unplug it and plug it back in. But
I just thought you were working on your radio voice and developed that naturally.
I always repeat myself. So they're like, yeah, but actually, Combo Bob's my co-host.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm
Let me
sorry,
exit
Comic
and
Book Bob.
come back in. Hang on.
Co-host.
He's the co-host with the most.
Nice.
He also
yeah.
posed for a lot of the nude scenes in DragonRage.
Oh my. So how did that go?
Apparently it went well. I mean, it's pretty popular. People
Yeah.
reference it often.
Oh my god.
And then they come back later and they're like, Comic Book Bob, we didn't realize you had a tush like that. So
Oh
it's made me
man,
look at him in a whole new light.
that's quite humorous.
Yeah.
So, we'll wait till Jimmy comes back. But what's your background, Dave? If I haven't already asked you this question before, what's your background in writing, and what made you fall in love with it and jump into comics?
Yeah, so when I first learned how to read, it was pretty much comic books. I got like all the horror comic books as a kid: Tomb of Dracula, Werewolf by Night, Swamp Thing, stuff like that. And when I was probably in kindergarten, I sat down and tried to make my own comic book, and I drew it and wrote it. And I mean, it wasn't very good. The artwork hasn't progressed any since I was 5, but I think my writing probably has a little bit. And I just have always been fascinated with comics, man. And so, off and on as a teenager, I would write things, not so much comics, but I got into a role-playing game, Marvel. It's kind of like D&D, only it's with Marvel characters. And one of the guys in our group was just a really good artist, and he had an idea to put a comic together. And so I just started writing, and next thing I know, I was kind of figuring out how to write a script, and he was drawing it, and I was we were doing that when I was 19. I got my first comic book published by a company out of Utica, New York, and Allied Comics. And, I've just always gravitated towards that. I like writing, but it just seems like comic books are the things that I like the most.
It's cool stuff, man. It's cool.
Yeah. I've tried to write like prose, like novels before, and I just can't get my head around the structure of it, and I can't do it. Comic books just seem to be something that I got my head around pretty early.
It's great. It's really like it, dude. So Jimmy, what's your background, Jimmy? Because you have quite of a resume under your belt. What got you to do arts, and for the sake of it, like, why comics? You could have been anything, dude.
I hear an echo when anybody's talking. I don't know what it is, but so let me know if I'm still echoing out there. For me, for comic books, it was 1992 or 93. It was before my son was born, so like 92.
Okay.
I had just gotten married and was about to be a father, and I just discovered comics and started drawing. I'd only been drawing for about 6 months, and I was pretty good at mimicking what I saw. I could redraw the things and mimic the Jim Lee art style. So my first wife, who was really great at selling people, she's very, she's just really out there, a doer. She calls up Antarctic Press. They hear the voice of this cute young girl calling up, asking if they're looking at portfolios. They want to review a portfolio. I think they assumed it was going to be her. So they said yes. They said, come in the morning. We're super excited about about looking at your portfolio. So she and I go down there. We sit in the lobby. We're waiting. And back then they had a pretty big office. We were sitting in the lobby, and I remember it was Doug who was behind the counter. He sees her. He walks up to her and he says, "Oh, hi. Let me look at your portfolio." but I'm the one holding the portfolio. But they're talking to her the whole time. So I'm like, what's going on here? Um, so then she and I realized, oh, they think it's you. And I think they were kind of disappointed when I was the one that went back there. They looked at my portfolio. They offered me a cover. They said, "We like your artwork. We I didn't have a lot of sequential work, and we just had like covers and pinups. And they said, "Oh, we can do a cover for you." So they hired me for a cover. And I think really at the beginning, the only reason they hired me was to hope that she'd come hang around the studio with me, you know. And she did. She would go hang out with me around the studio and stuff. And I think they liked that because back then it was really rare to ever find a girl in comics.
Yeah.
And if you did, they weren't the pretty ones today. It was a little odd at that time. And I remember we walk out of there, Antarctic Press, first time we had ever seen a comic book studio. We walk out of there, and she looks at me and she goes, "Wow, so that's nerd headquarters." And I laughed so hard. She was like, "Oh my gosh." She's like, "I'm so glad your meeting didn't take too long." She was like, "It smelled like armpits."
Oh,
She was right.
gosh.
The whole studio smelled like armpits.
That's the smell of comic books, man.
Yeah. I was like, no, that's the smell of creativity. It's where it comes from. It comes from the pits.
Comes from armpits, man.
And it was exciting times because back then in the 90s, if you could draw, you were going to break it.
Right.
So all these guys right now that are, if you can draw, and if you had been drawing back in the 90s, or if you had been born earlier, all you had to do was just show your work to any publisher, you would have been hired.
Right.
It was more work than there were artists back then. So I'm not saying like I was super good because I broke in 6 months. I was just right. It was just the right time at the industry, and how I got in.
Right.
And then from there, just I started getting more and more work, and I went on different companies.
Awesome. So now that you have experience with the studio and everything, do you wish to replicate that with Page One Comics? Because I've noticed that I've been around with your streams, dude. So I'm no stranger. I'm not gonna pretend like I don't know, but unfortunately, since I'm an interviewer, I got to play dumb and act like I don't know these things. But anyways, so now that there's a talent search since back then in the 90s that anybody can draw and stuff, are you gonna replicate with Page One since you have a talent search with Page One Comics?
Yeah, we have a open call right now. So it's not really a contest and it's not really a talent search. So if you draw our characters, then you have the opportunity to be published in the first issue of DragonRage, featuring cover by David Finch, artwork by me, who was a professional inker in the comic book industry. You get to work with Andrew Dahlhaus, who's a professional colorist. We got Eric Weathers lettering. You got Dave Philpot, man. This guy's gonna be the biggest writer.
Professional beard grower.
Yeah.
Professional cat beater.
Yeah.
And so if you do, you get published in this book. And the great thing is that it helps your resume. If you send in your submission to publishers and they ask you who you've been published before, you can say yes. That really validates your portfolio. People look at it and go, oh, well, this guy's not just some amateur who's never met a deadline or doesn't know anything about publishing. This is somebody with experience.
Yeah.
So we want to do that. We want to pay it forward. Plus, we want to create a virtual studio, which is what my live streams really are. It's a virtual studio. Every Saturday, we open up, we let people come in. What we want to do is we want people to be able to come in, hone their skills, learn on the job, be able to learn from the things that I've learned. Hopefully I can teach people a few things and share the things that I've learned, and we can learn from each other. And that's really how a studio works. It's iron sharpens iron, or steel sharpens steel. I forget the saying, but
no, you're right on the first one. Iron sharpens iron.
And we see, you're not the dumb interviewer, the smart interviewer. See, the thing is, like, I'm playing the interviewee, so I have to play dumb, like I've never been interviewed before. That's why I faked it. I'm dumbing it down here. No, I'm just kidding.
It's okay, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. Like, guys, if you have not been on Jimmy's streams, every Saturday is like a fun stream. You get to learn something new every day. You get to see other talent, get to see them, bringing out books, everything. And I'm just telling you out of testimony, like, ever since then, like, I've been on Jimmy's streams, like, I've improved a lot. He has his own digital inks as well, which I use daily now. I'm addicted to your digital oh my god, was it
Croquill or
not
the
the Pro
Kalinsky?
Quill, like more like the digital sketch pen. I forgot what they're called, like lead pencil, something like that.
Oh, you mean like the multi-liners?
Yeah, the multi-liner.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I did was I wanted to make a digital version of everything I used traditionally. For those out there that don't know, I used to work with David Finch. And that's how we got Dave on the covers. I used to be his inker, and then we became friends, and I've known him for some years now. And it's been great, working with Dave Finch. It brought me into the mainstream. I also got to work on Marvel Action Avengers. I've gotten done tons of different stuff. Did some stuff on Power Rangers and Charlie's Angels. I did a Batman. And we got to do a bunch of fun stuff. And so I had a great time as a inker. But I wanted to start penciling again. I wanted to start drawing again. And so I've been interested in digital and said, I want to go digital. So I had to learn how to do things digitally. But then I realized that there was nothing out there for inkers. There's a million brushes out there, but they're all created by artists who I don't think they've ever picked up a Croquill. I don't think they've ever used a sable brush. I think they were just trying to make inking easy for them because they did not ink. They needed to, get it done. And they wanted a fast, easy way to do it. They were finding a lot of shortcuts, a lot of stamp brushes, and it looked digital, And I was like, I don't want it to look machine. I don't want it to look digital. So I had to create my own brushes, my own product, because there wasn't anything out there to give me the look that I was going for. That traditional top cow style of inking, which is where the style that I have of inking. Although I was taught by Wildstorm, the Wildstorm inkers are the ones that taught me how to ink. And that's a part of the story I skipped, but yeah, I got to work with the Wildstorm guys and learn from them. But so creating that digital inking kit, yeah, I did that, and then started doing that, and then now I'm doing full, from pencil to ink, all digital now.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Like, you're right. Like, I've bought, I don't know how, because these things are so expensive. These digital inks and stuff, like, they're quite expensive, especially from the pros. And yeah, they provide videos and stuff. I make sure of myself that I get the package where I get to know exactly how they do it. And it's my personal preference. Everybody has their own, but it just seems like it just gets messy when you work on it, and it is just another learning curve that you have to do. It's like you finally know how to draw on the tablet. Now you got to learn how to ink properly from their style, and maybe the inking style that they have doesn't really much work with you or your art. But with yours, Jimmy, is like how you said in one of your streams that it can easily be transferred. Like, if you know how to do it physically, like how to do Pro Quill or anything, and even like on my end, I use Copic multi-liners. I use the Prismacolors and all this stuff, and like, it is easily, like, I just felt like,
I feel like my life being narrated, like at this view. I'm like, who's talking to me? I'm hearing my life retold back to me, And so Jimmy began his adventure in designing digital inks, and he never thought. I'm like, how do they know? But go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's all good, buddy.
Weird being the face of your, Now I know what it feels like. I do this to you guys.
Yeah, I know. It's how does it feel now, Jimmy?
I know.
But what's your relationship with David Finch? Because this cover, man, this is like your moneymaker right here. Like,
Yeah.
David Finch. How did you come across with David Finch? How do you get the job being his inker and stuff?
Oh yeah. So in 2016, I said, you know what? I quit comics for about 10 years. And then in 2016, I had gotten over I had heart failure in 2007, quit comics for 10 years. So go forward 2016, I decided, you know what? I want to do comics. I had always done it part-time. I want to do it full-time now. I want to go in this all or nothing. So I said, you know what? I'm going to spend, yeah, they were picking on me earlier on my stream. I showed a picture of how short I am compared to a 7-foot guy that was over 7 feet, and like
Yeah.
it just made me look even tinier. And these guys went on that. It was funny. So yeah, 2016, every day I inked Page, every day for 1 year, over and over. Just kept inking. Most of the stuff I was thinking like David Finch because I just really loved Dave's work. Then it just 2017, I created a YouTube channel, put my work out there, started showing my work. Dave Finch found me, and he asked me to ink him, and just like that, off a video from YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is crazy, man. I don't know. It's crazy, dude. And you know many other artists as well than Finch.
Yeah.
Can you name drop a few so that way they can backflip like I did?
I've gotten to work with like Brett Booth. Through Dave Finch, I've met a lot of other artists as well. I got to work with John Marvia. Does great stuff. I got to work on Marvel Action Avengers as well. I worked with I forget his name. He used to do Harley Quinn. I inked him on a book that was called Blood Rain. It was based on a video game. I got to meet him, Chad Hardin. Yeah, he did Harley Quinn for a while. So I got to work with him. Steve Kurth, who went to work at Marvel. I inked him on Ghostbusters. We did a run on Ghostbusters, and I got to work with him. And I'm drawing a blank, but there's been a lot of people. I've been an inker for a long time, so there's been a lot of books, Starship Troopers, Charlie's Angels. Well, we did Power Rangers.
Yeah, you got me at Power Rangers, dude, because
Yeah.
I the 90s and the Power Rangers, dude, like I was the most violent kid ever. If you mix Power Rangers and Dragon Ball Z, you got a kid in karate class.
I thought if we mixed Power Rangers and Dragon Ball Z, we get JRPG.
Oh, well, about that. No, it's funny. Thanks for bringing up. Pretty much JRPG is just like an inspiration of my whole entire life living in Florida. And if you ever ask me like what was the first memory you ever even gained thought of, and it was like I believe it was the Miccosukee, where the Miccosukee tribe. I'm not even joking. The Miccosukee. What?
I thought it was soup. I was gonna be like,
Jimmy's like, sounds yummy. Time to eat again.
I'm like, does it have alligator in it? What is it?
So it was a Miccosukee tribe, I believe, and they have an alligator wrestling, and they have and it was a big pool too. Like this dude was like in the middle of like a sand island with other gators around him. And you just see him just doing his thing, and then my dad, I was on his lap. We were in the front row, and my dad would tease me like he's gonna drop me where all the gators is. Mind you, like they're just slowly passing by. It's just, oh no, it was awful. And then
wait, did you say the guy's wrestling the alligator?
No, gators in plural, more than one.
He's wrestling more than one alligator.
Yes, when they're swimming around. Yeah, no, it's solely on purpose.
Did the alligators know they were in a wrestling match, or were they just like laying around with this dude? Like
they're kind of. I find out later they drugged them, so that way he doesn't get
Oh, kind of like pro wrestling today.
Yeah, but it's a different type of shot.
Oh, okay. It's not self-inflicted.
No. But anyways, it's just my love with professional wrestling when I was growing up, and I was even at a point where I wanted to be a professional wrestler. But then my mom said, no, you're going to learn how to get educated. And that's when student loan debt came into my life.
So we're gonna turn the show around. We're gonna start interviewing you now. So
I guess so.
So JRPG though, it came from that, from a real life experience that you actually had.
I mean, it's just multiple things, dude. Like, I wanted, like, when I was in high school, like, I wanted my own, like, Ninja Turtles, but I just didn't know how to, like, develop it or.
When Ninja Turtles came out?
Oh my god, dude! I watched the '80s.
I was already a father, I think.
Yeah.
My second wife. Man, God, you're young.
Oh man, dude, I'm a baby face. So yeah, it's like in my high school, like I wanted to have my own like Ninja Turtles, but I didn't know exactly like how to like evolve it and stuff until like fast forward today. There's this challenge where like a few of the comic creators that I've been associating with, they were like one of the dudes DM me saying, "Oh, don't tell anybody," but they were having like big indie creators like John Delarose, Doug Garrett, Six Scale Combat was the one I was talking with. He DM'd me, and it's called the Corona Kings Project, and it's pretty much like creators just creating a free zine for everyone to read for free while they're in quarantine. So when I read all the names, in the end it said more, and I asked him, "Can I be that guy?
Can I be the more?
The more?"
Yeah.
So he's like, "Yeah, sure, dude." So then, like, literally just off the top of my head, I'm like, "Okay, I'm here in Florida, perfect. I don't need to travel. What's popular here? Gators. Okay, what else? I love turtles, but there can't be ninjas. Okay, there's wrestling gators. I thought professional wrestling because it's just funny to me. So I don't know. It was like a ton of laughs, and then I came across with Cassidy Blonde when he commented in one of the posts saying like, "Oh, like I'll help any like writer or artist for the story." I'm like, bingo. I DM'd him, and I remember we recently followed each other, so that was even. The rest is history, guys. That's all I can say.
You were each other's stalker? Is that what you're saying?
No. I was an opportunist. That's a better word.
Man, that's cool. So I didn't know you had a writer on the project. I thought you were doing all the chores yourself.
No, I had the writer, and he also does lettering as well. So we have the script done. It's just now I gotta start drawing, and I notice now that I'm so slow. But it's just an art style that I want to adopt from the Mirage Studios, more Eastman style. So everyone's been telling me that it's on point. It's just now like it's my first time drawing a comic book ever, so it's like now I gotta learn about the pacing, how to be on point with the characters and the models, the environment, so they know where exactly it is. So I'm learning a lot, and each panel, like I feel like I'm improving. So
well, you're getting to know the characters. See, the thing that when you're drawing a new book, you don't know the characters. You don't know what their mannerisms are, what their gestures are. When you can draw a Wolverine, you've seen a million other artists draw it. You've seen movies, animations, and you're like, I know how he moves, I know how he talks. But you're observing this, your character. So it takes a little longer.
Yeah, no. That's a funny thing too when you're talking about mannerism and stuff. Like these characters, like they just come up, and it just became so natural. Because of course, like in the first concept, I wasn't really sure what they were. Like I got the names down packed. It's just now is like, okay, who's what, and it's like the scary thing is like, okay, who's the copycat Donatello, who's the copycat Michelangelo, this and that, and that's something like I wanted to avoid because like it's an inspiration, it's a spoof, but at the same time, like I want them to stand on their own, and they know that it's gonna be its own series. At some point,
you're spoofing a spoof, right?
Yeah.
Oh I know. It's funny. It's
In this particular frame that we've got going with the 3 people, I feel like I'm going to just kiss Dave Philpot.
Aw. Thank you.
Yeah. It's a crazy frame. I know, right? I've never done this frame like this. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
There's somebody else that did it. We were on a show not long ago and somebody did it like this too. I can't remember who it was.
Art-Teeper, I think.
Might have been, yeah.
Art-Teeper was going through all the frames. I think he was lost for a minute. He was putting us in like every frame.
He was drinking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So you noticed, we, Anna and I, last night before bed, I said, hey, before you go to sleep, can you help me move all this stuff around? So we spent a couple hours rearranging my desk.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know if it's me echoing, if I broke my mic, because a little tab right here got loose, and that's just to tighten it, but it's nothing to do with the wiring. But I don't know.
It looks like your mic is extending into my frame too, because look right now.
Yeah. It's like it's coming from your yeah, that's crazy.
It looks like a bit of chunk out of it or something.
Yeah, it does. It's crazy. Look at my mic going off your back. That's weird. It's so close to my mouth.
There's actually a trick that I heard like voice actors do, like to measure themselves so they pitch of the microphone. What they do is they do it like this, like they have their index thumb where their mouth is, and then their pinky to touch the microphone. So you have a perfect pitch of like when you speak over the microphone.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I know.
Cool. Yeah, I've played with mine. It took me a while to record a few to figure out like where to get and how loud to talk to sound, to get the sounds that I want. Because if I get too far back and I start talking,
like you're
you're
in a cave.
I know. I like to do the one like I'm on trial. I do not recall. I like to do that one. I like to be up close, and that's why I killed you, Your Honor.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding.
Oh man.
So Dave Philpot, man, you gotta start talking. He's been so quiet here in the middle. It looks like it says Dave Philpot drag.
I look so much bigger on camera. I'm really a little tiny person. And I look like a convict or something with the beard and everything.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I'll screenshot you and then I'll do my Photoshop magic.
I look like I'm about to go rob a CVS or something.
Can't be a Walmart. It has to be a CVS.
Yeah, you gotta start small.
I guess. It can be a gas station. I mean, a gas station is a good starting point, but I mean,
you can't just go straight and rob a Walmart, son.
Yeah. They have too many cameras there. Man.
Too many cameras.
Yeah, CVS can afford all that.
Yeah, you got to stop with the little hop and skip corner store. You got to start there.
Yeah, they don't care.
All right, so let's go back with DragonRage. So how did you thought of, like, since it's your first ever campaign, how did you think up of the perks and everything? Because when you first started it, you had just only David Finch, then yours, then having both. But then you start updating it more. Now you have like Finch exclusives of all 3 covers of Finch. You had
we talked about perks for a while. We were tossing around ideas, looking at other campaigns, and we were just thinking of the things. And luckily, we had actually a merchandise company that contacted us early, and we were able to get on board very quickly. And so we knew that we had that available to us at a very reasonable price. So we said, okay, the world's kind of our oyster. What do we want to do?
Right.
And to be honest, being our first campaign, when we went to launch it, the night before, we launched it on a Sunday. The night before, I was sitting in a hotel room and I was, chatting back and forth with Jimmy, and we were just kind of going back and forth on what we wanted to do. And we knew that we would probably end up kind of tailoring it as the campaign went on. But I think, Jimmy, correct me if I'm wrong, right after we launched, within a couple of days, people had already made some good suggestions to us and things, and we just kind of rolled with it.
Yeah, we have people from all over. A lot of the CG guys have done bigger campaigns. They're really nice. They came in and said, I suggest, I got a suggestion for you if you don't mind, and they helped us out. And I thought that was really cool. I like how CG was always so willing to help people with their campaigns and just share advice. It wasn't like, I don't want you to be successful. It's like they're willing to share all that. And I thought it was a great community. So that's slowly how we started getting involved.
We just got another backer too. Who, if you're watching, thank you. We appreciate it.
we
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So we got this thing going on our channel that if you screenshot your backer number and you share it on social media like Twitter, tag me at Jimmy Reyes Art or tag the page one, and I will get that screen capture and we'll show it live during our stream and give you a personal shout out and say thank you for backing us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, this is pretty awesome. I love the theme of it, fantasy, because I feel like we get a lot of fantasy in novels, but not in comics.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of weird how it's so like, I don't know, you would think because of the genre, like you have so much freedom in it. I mean, the only fantasy I could think of is like Conan the Barbarian, but
Yeah.
that's about it. I mean, it's just that. Now, unless you call superheroes fantasy, then I mean, it's oversaturated for that just that one genre.
Right. I know what you mean. It feels more like superheroes are more maybe science fiction in a way. I think that's always been traditionally grouped that way. And I know what you're saying. It's weird that with a genre like fantasy, it'd be tailor-made for comics. So why don't we see more? And maybe it has to just do with sales. I don't know. But, I don't want to say that Game of Thrones was maybe the dividing line, but so many people got on board with it. And all it really takes is for, I guess, people to see that there's a market for something, and then they'll start exploring it more. So that might have something to do with it. But, something Jimmy mentions frequently is, I don't remember the percentage Jimmy does, but how quickly the fantasy genre is growing.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is like, it's like what you said, it's like it should have been tailor-made for comics, but I think it's the same thing too. Is like, I think it's the Game of Thrones that jumped to it, because I remember in the 80s it was really rough for fantasy movies back then. So maybe that's the reason why, because I think that's you really hit the nail on the coffin, because I remember in the 80s, like, you had a lot of fantasies movies, like even like oh my goodness, what's his name, the guy who's always in Mission Impossible all the freaking time.
Old Mission Impossible or new?
Tom
Cruise. You're talking about Legend.
Tom Cruise, yeah. So there was some, like, Tom Cruise's first movie ever was called Legend, I believe.
Yeah.
And I was so blown away with that movie. Is like the atmosphere of the fantasy and everything. Like, after I watched that movie, it's like, man, like, I want to do my own fantasy of the interior designs and all the behind the scenes stuff that goes on making that film.
Yeah.
And everything. But it's just that, I don't know, it was that weird time in the 80s where, like, fantasy there was no click. And in the 90s, there was a big boom with Hercules, and Warner Brothers took advantage of it when Disney brought out the animated movie of Hercules. And now you got Warner Brothers that did a live action of Hercules, and they made like maybe 6 or 7 seasons of it.
Well, I think that in the 80s you had stuff like Labyrinth, you had the Dark Crystal, and Legend obviously kind of fitting into that same time period. And I think that there were a lot of people that were still big fans of Conan. The second movie maybe wasn't as good. There's no maybe. The second movie was not as good. But I think that maybe the Dungeons and Dragons aspect of it, because for so long you were just kind of vilified if you were a gamer, and it's taken a while for that to become, now it's so mainstream. And maybe that adds to it too, that you've got people on board with playing D&D, and it's okay to like that element of your entertainment. One thing I want to add is that when we were doing the story, one of the things we purposely stayed away from is trying to make it match up with the D&D form of Dragonborn characters and things like that. We really wanted to kind of strike out and do our own version of not only the world, but even the look, the clothing, and the way that they interact with each other and all of that.
Nice. And you have anything else to put your input in, Jimmy, or you want to piggyback on?
Oh, well, I mean, back in the 80s, I think there were a lot of great fantasy movies and a lot of great things going on in the fantasy genre. I think in the 90s is when it really dropped out, until recently with Game of Thrones started bringing back the fantasy genre. You know, I think it was the best that was, I don't want to say it was well done, but it was done better than anything since, the past almost 20 years. But, and now fantasy genre is growing. It's a big thing. It's even in video games, the fantasy genre seems to really be the majority thing, where, I mean, there still are some first person shooters and stuff like that, but I think fantasy is a big genre. You're seeing an uprise in books and novels. You're starting to see a lot more fantasy taking over, in both Amazon and Netflix, the two bigger streaming services. Right. So it seems like there's a market for it. There's an audience, and we just need to, create the IP, and there's already, like I said, an audience out there. So creating DragonRage, we just got to present it to this audience, right, because there's people already craving and looking for this stuff. And the same thing is going on in comic books, where fantasy hasn't really been well done yet in comics. I think it's been done by creative teams that really aren't fans of fantasy, and so when you take a licensed IP and you do like Dungeons and Dragons and you bring it into a comic book, well, most of the Dungeons and Dragon fans aren't comic readers. They're, tabletop game players and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. They might pick it up for nostalgia, but they're not really, into the comic book medium and things like that. So it's a little tough that way. But here we're coming from the fact we work in comics, we love fantasy, and we want to bring something new to the genre. Mm-hmm. We don't want to go out and license another IP. We want to bring new things outside of it, influence instead of come. Dave's got different influences than I do. Mine are from movies and anime, and that's how I'm approaching it in my art. Is from my influences, visual influences. And as for him, he's got a lot more things that influence him throughout his childhood. But he's also got some that we share, like movies. There's some movies we both, like he said, Legend. That's a great movie. I grew up watching that. I thought Legend was wonderful. Labyrinth, it's another one that was great. I mean, like you said, Dark Crystal, all that stuff was amazing stuff. So we're bringing that back, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What's funny about that, though, is that we also, in addition to the fantasy stuff, we kind of dig really cheesy things too, like John Hughes movies. We've talked about that before. Just laughing about movies like Pretty in Pink or 16 Candles or something. I think it's just what it comes down to is just storytelling. There was a stream that we were on where somehow we got to talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and man, that really threw a hand grenade in the middle of the room, because it was. We had some of the people were just attacking the show, and then other people were defending it. I'm one of the defenders. I think that it was a really well written show, and again, it all comes down to characterization and storytelling. And so anything that has really strong characters, really strong storytelling, I'm a fan of it. Jimmy's a fan of it, and so our influence can come from places that might. On first glance, it doesn't seem like it would fit in with what we're doing with DragonRage. Like, how in the world would 16 Candles ever be in the same world? But you'd be surprised at the character dynamics going on, at some of the humor and things like that can translate.
Right.
So, and the coming of age story, Nuri is kind of discovering life at the same time that she's discovering what it's like to have this ability to turn into a dragon, with, there's a rage, there's risks that are involved with it. It's not just, I'm gonna turn into a dragon. This is super cool. We're gonna fly around and like the luck dragon, and it's from the never ending story.
Yes, I love the never-ending story.
Yeah,
I'm like one of the few kids from the '90s that know about the never-ending story. Anybody around my age group does not know a smidge of
yeah,
never-ending story, and
So weird.
that is fantastic. I
yeah.
love that movie.
It was great. What they did was they took an average everyday boy, who wasn't the most popular. He wasn't, he even came from a broken home. The father was in the picture. He didn't really have very many friends in school, and it was somebody that almost everybody could relate to. Very few people were really the most popular in elementary school. Or we've all had bullies or whatever, and it took the kid that people could relate to, took him out of the world and placed him in this larger than life situation and
Hmm.
this big fantasy world, where that he was the it, was- that the world revolved around him. It was
Mm.
almost, it was almost narcissistic, because we all want to be the center of everything. We want to have this big adventure, and it
Right.
revolved around us. And so that's some of the best stories. I think Luke Skywalker, same thing. Farm boy
Hmm.
who went off to save the galaxy. Think about any of your favorite stories. Aladdin, it's the nobody thief. Who went on to marry a princess. And discover a whole new life, uh,
Hmm.
and had a big adventure. And that's the same thing with Nuri. Nuri's an orphan, and she's got this big adventure ahead of her, and a lot to learn about life. And discover. So we're doing ours just a little more real
Okay.
than just the whole fun that like Disney had and all the other stuff. There's gonna be some harsh reality in there.
Mm.
Yeah,
So I know there's a lot of genres when it comes to fantasy. Just to make it more easy to recognize, is it like a dark fantasy like the Witcher series? Is it a high fantasy? So how can you guys determine which fantasy is it?
It's veering more towards it's kind of hard to explain in those terms, but the best way to describe it is it's character driven, story driven fantasy
Hmm.
where the the world isn't so super fantastic where every page has some new weird creature on it. It's a little more grounded in reality than that. But there are aspects of it that are kind of gritty and dirty in terms of just the way that the world is depicted. There are elements of it that are, incredibly, just fantastical is the only way to describe it. Anytime
Hmm.
you have a character that can turn into a dragon and fly around, you're going to have that.
Right.
But, we've also got a story where we have, situations where characters are going to be dealing with family issues, characters are going to be dealing with maybe relationships. There's murder, there's all kinds
Yeah.
of things going on. There's a political backstory going on in the story too.
Hmm.
So, it's, I guess it's kind of hard to pigeonhole it, but there's a lot going on in the story that if you're just a fan, you don't even have to be a fan of fantasy, I think, to
Right.
enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I totally believe that. So, and I think that's true. Is like you're going more grounded level than just I don't know. We're gonna hop onto a dragon and then we just go off to an adventure and something bad happens and from point A to point B. But hearing from you guys' stories and where you're going within this, that this is going to be a more, as you say, more character driven, more development. Because we got two characters in this story, and I remember Jimmy saying that Nuri's not even the main character of this whole story. It is Dragon, if I believe that.
Oh,
Hopefully, I said it right.
Thrago.
Drago,
Yeah.
Drago. Apologies.
Actually, it's Jack, the Fennec Fox. He's the main character.
yeah.
Really?
Story revolves around him.
Yep,
Mm.
pretty much. Well, the thing is I think that the it's hard to say because whereas Nuri is going to be the focus of the first one, she's on the cover and everything. Originally, that was going to be it, but when we started developing this guy, my original thought was to kill him. He was going to die off pretty early, and then when I saw what he looked like, and then there's a scene that if you've seen the preview, have you seen the preview yet?
The
Did you see
preview?
the,
No, I have not seen the preview.
there's a scene in the preview where he goes before, this great dragon, and it's his father, and he's speaking to him, and the great, the dragon just has nothing to do with him. And that interaction, when I finished writing it, and then when I saw what it looked like, I was like, oh man, I got to keep this guy around, because he went from being like this disposable two-dimensional villain to somebody I could hang out with,
Right.
somebody we could sit down and commiserate about dad issues or whatever.
Mm.
So, there's going to be some neat stuff happening in there.
And how many cast of characters are we talking about? It's just only those three, Drago, and Nuri, and this other character who's pretty much the main star of this whole show.
Yeah, so I mean, we have some other characters in there, and you've seen them. If you look through, you can see them in the artwork. There's a rather handsome fellow. His name is Brannick, and he has grown up with Nuri, and so he's got a good, close relationship with her. There might be some kind of romantic relationship on the horizon for them, and there's other characters too. We've got the king. There's an oracle to the king that we'll be introducing soon. That's super creepy, and she plays a big part in it. Obviously, the bigger, larger dragon, he's a character in it that will feature and has an important place in the story too. And later down the road, we have some other characters that are involved politically. There's a baron that I'm introducing in the second issue that is just super fun to write. He's hilarious, and he plays a major part. So, there are other characters definitely that will begin to kind of weave their way into the fabric of the story.
Wonderful, man. And I think just to top it all off, this is going to be a question from Nicholas Mueller, because this is like an early on question that I was able to find. And he says, how many books do you guys plan on doing per a year, as in page one comics?
I guess as many as we can, I mean, I don't know what the right answer to say is to that, but that's going to depend on, I guess what Jimmy's up for doing, what we end up doing in terms of getting these projects off the ground, and if we have other people that are that we bring into the fold that are developing quality products as well. I'm hoping we can do a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, as far as DragonRage, it's really how fast can I draw them? Because so far, I mean, we built Page One Comics, we built the Page One Comics website, we built the stream, we built all the graphic design, all the videos, and drew the 22-page book in about 5 months, and got all the everything registered and things. It took a while. I mean, normally it would take years to reach that point. We did it fairly quickly. I don't really know how. I mean, it all just kind of nothing was really forced. Everything just kind of seemed to organically just evolve from one thing from another. And so I can draw about a page a day. I can ink a page a day, so it takes me about 2 days to get a page pencil inked, through one page. And I've been doing this now full time every day. Through this, like I said, I mean, I was thrown a curveball. I was diagnosed with heart failure in 2007, almost lost my life. Got a second chance, at life, and it changed my views as to, one thing was, of course, I want to make the most out of the relationships that I have with my children. At the time I didn't know Anna, but, of course, I wanted to meet somebody and make the best out of that relationship, the best that I can. But the other thing was, there are things in my life that I haven't done yet that I really want to do, is create my own book, and even my own company. I've always wanted that. So I said, hey, you don't know. I started thinking about mortality. You don't know how long that final day is going to be there. So, take every day, as an opportunity to work your way towards that goal. Every day that you spend away from doing that, it's a waste of time. You're wasting away, that day. And so I spent every day building something for Page One Comics, something for DragonRage, and we got it done in 5 months. So I'm guessing about, realistically, since Right now, I'm taking on a lot of the chores myself. We could probably do about 6 issues of Dragon Rage a year, maybe 5 to 6 issues, or around there, depending though how much funding we get. That's the big thing. I could spend hours here, get it all done, but it really money does, take a big. It's almost 50% of it.
Yeah.
So, but the response we got, people are calling us a hit comic, and I go, we've only raised 7,000. Like, we're not one of these $250,000 things, but people are already starting to recognize that, hey, you guys in the crowdfunding, nobody knew who you were, in crowdfunding, and you guys funded in 10 days. That's pretty good. And people are saying this is a comic that people are already talking about. People are tweeting. There's a lot of people that are planning to get the book that haven't gotten it yet, due to either their finances or whatever, but they want to get it. So to hear somebody say that it's a hit book, we haven't even printed the book yet and put it out there, it just blew my mind. Like, whoa, this is really neat.
Yeah, no, I can totally tell from this when you have your when you told your story, like how you started from when you just started working at comics, that you were just quiet and you had your wife at the time doing all the talking for you, but now with this near death experience is like,
you can't shut him up.
Oh yeah.
Your attitude is very different. You're very you're very upbeat, you're very social, you're very welcoming, especially in your streams. I could totally tell from like day one, or pun, no pun intended, but it's intended, since page one, just getting to know you.
Yeah.
You're very welcoming. You're you're like one of the, maybe even the very few mainstream creators I've seen that would actually open their platform to little guys like us that can, not feel embarrassed or just feel like, oh, like, should I spiel my book or should I not? Like,
Yeah.
and it's totally normal, but just you're just very different in a good way.
We all equally love the medium. It doesn't matter if you're making a career out of it yet, if you're making a living at it. You're a professional. You don't have to be published to be a professional. What a professional is somebody who is dedicated to the craft, somebody who's taking this seriously. So even if you're not published or even paid yet for your work, you're already professional. So when people, just because I've worked with bigger artists and worked in the bigger publishers, that doesn't make me a better person than someone else who wants to do this and hasn't been published yet. So we're all people. We need to encourage each other, treat each other alike, and I love to meet people with the same common interest. So to me, I want to open that platform and see what comes in, see what kind of people I meet. I love it. I love all kind of characters of people. You don't have to be like me for us to get along.
Right. Yeah. So I think we'll be ending the stream. So I mean, we have a solid, pretty much just an hour and 8 minutes. If you guys want to, say your final words, or
Whoa,
gonna murder us.
Or I mean,
Well, it's been nice knowing you, Jimmy. I appreciate the fact that you've helped me out in
Don't forget me.
many different ways.
Tell my mom I love her.
Yeah. No, I mean, if there's anything I could say, first to all 153 people who have backed the comic, we super appreciate every one of you and helping us to make this come true for us. And just giving us a chance. Going into it, I was unsure if anyone would want to back just a single comic, because so many projects out there are graphic novel size or whatever, and for so many people to help believe in the project, it really means a lot.
Awesome. And you, Jimmy?
I know where it's. Oh, golly. Yeah, deja vu. I've been there before.
Yeah, I bet.
Don't mess it up, Jimmy.
Yeah. No, I to be honest, I'm so excited that the response that we got. Putting your IP out there, you really don't know what kind of response you're going to get. And it's just the fact that we got such great support from all these backers that came from CG, backers. We got guys that just really said, I haven't bought a book in years, but I got into this crowdfunding thing just for your book. And we go, wow, like this is great, man. People believe in this. People want to see this world of Nuri. They want to share this story with us. And then the other part of it is that they also want to see us succeed. And I think, man, it's cool because I financially, I didn't need to do any of this. I mean, I could just, I'm okay. I'm retired. I make a decent, I mean, I had a good life. I could have just not done all this, but man, it's part of me. It's who I am. I've got to create, and I think I would have been doing this regardless of it going into crowdfunding. I would have been picking up on Webtoons, or I would have been doing something with it, but just the fact that now it's a reality. Now we're a publishing company. Now we got our first book that's going to be coming out. The book's almost done. 4 pages left. All we got to do now is get it colored and lettered, and get it printed and then fulfilled. So that, of course, that could take some time, but a few months, I think. And then DragonRage will be in people's hands pretty soon, before you know it. And I can't wait to get the response of those that are the first to get to read it.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for it, especially with this beanie here. This bad boy is gonna be gone.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, that beanie is going to be embroidered logo in the front. So that logo is called the P1 logo. We're Page One Comics, and if it's just a P, it's a P and a 1, called the P1 logo. Dude, you gotta sport it, man. You gotta put the beanie on. Get rid of that mainstream. We don't need it.
I will, man. I will. Now I'm just wondering, like, is it gonna be like this big, or I don't know, how big is the P1? Because I want to make sure everyone sees it.
Well, what they did in your beanie is that they did they put the patch in underneath in the inside. You fold it up, you expose it. Ours are skull caps, so they don't have that fold. They kind of fit over.
Oh, and they fit over your head.
Yeah, and then they can go over your eyes. That's my style. I love those. You'll see me wearing the winter. You're gonna see me wearing that one by the time it gets here. That'll be here, so we'll be wearing that one. We got to cover up Dave's head up there too, because
it's a tragedy what's happening up there.
And I wear all caps. I love these trucker hats, so I had to have the hat with the P1 logo on it. We didn't want to do DragonRage because people at this point don't know the characters yet. So we did P1 because you guys know us. Page One, man. Join us, support the Page One logo, man. Support the team that you're on. You come in, you join our streams. Why not? Why not? Have our merch. Come on our stream with our merch. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so thank you guys so much for just sparing your time and just getting to know each and one of you guys, the co-founders of Page One Comics. I'm very excited for you guys. I'm very excited for your company. I'm very excited for the talent that you have on board and the current team that you have.
Yeah.
So, 2020 has, I don't care what everybody says, but 2020 has been a good year for you guys, especially for the comics, just the comic scene, crowdfunding scene, and everything that has to do with the scene. So, so yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for your time. I truly do appreciate it and coming by the show.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it.
Really appreciate you, offering the opportunity to present DragonRage to your audience.
Oh yeah, no problem, dude.
DragonRage is going to change your life, guys. It's unlike anything you've ever read.
Or change your beanie.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys. So let me see. Hold up. Alrighty, guys. So thank you guys so much for watching this stream. You guys ooze of excellence as always. God bless.